Jennings, first person. You can beat me or you can beat me to the 19th hole. The 19th hole. You can beat me or you can beat me to the 19th hole. The 19th hole. I'm at the 19th hole, fellowshipping with a few folks. My game was on, so I won by a few strokes. Cognac and a few totes. We gon' talk about our views and let the news post. Whether a hole in one or a triple bogey. Sit down at the round table, get to know me. Black excellence, living holy. Golf carts get driven slowly while we picking stogies.
For over 25 years. So my background is in teaching. Oh, wow. I was studying under the #1 instructor in the state of Tennessee, top 50 in the country for over 3 years. One of my mentors, Jeff Jones, was featured on the Golf Channel 6 times. So, yeah, that's what my background really came. Playing first and then teaching. I got plenty. Oh, man. We ain't done yet.
Oh, it's good. It's going.
Like I say, hopefully we just get started up there.
Right. So they had this app called Cigar Scanner. Got a little leaf on it right there, Cigar Scanner.
Okay.
So if you're ever somewhere and you don't know what the cigar is, or you might not have full trust in who you're talking to about the cigar, you can just take a picture of the cigar. I don't know why I took it that way, but whatever you did, put it on camera. There we go. So you take a picture of it, and it's going to identify the cigar. And the nice thing about it is, once it identifies it, it tells you where it originated from.
Really?
Yes, sir. So you see that right there? That's what we're smoking. Or about to smoke, the Liga Underground Sungrown. And then they tell you a little bit about it. You should read all through that stuff there, and they tell you what the wrappers are. The Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper, which is sun-grown. Sun-grown just means that there's no shade covering the tobacco. You know, it's actually, right there. The sun did that. And it tells you, a little bit about what their opinion of it is, balance, binder from the Connecticut River Valley. So basically this cigar is all Nicaraguan. With the Nicaraguan filler, Nicaraguan binder, and a Sumatra Ecuadorian wrapper. So what that means is everything in the center, all that tobacco you see in the center there, that's what they consider the filler. So they take several different leaves and they bunch them up, and they take a binder, wrap it around that filler. Then they put a wrapper around that, because the wrapper is where you're gonna get a lot of the flavor from.
Okay.
But the filler is where you're gonna get some of the strength and some of the other notes and things from when you're smoking a cigar.
Yes,
so
sir.
A cigar to me is like a wine
That's what I'm
or
picking
coffee,
up. Yeah.
So depending on what that blend is, that's what you're gonna start to pick up in the cigar. You might smoke a cigar today, and get vanilla, chocolate, whatever. Then you might smoke it next week, and you might get something totally different. You might get cinnamon or plums or whatever it is.
Right.
Because a lot of it also depends on your palate, what you've been eating, what you've been drinking, what you eat or drink while you're smoking a cigar. All those things play into it. But for somebody who's just starting out, when I walk into a cigar spot, I would be like, can I have something mild? Something not too strong.
Yep.
Something that maybe doesn't have a lot of pepper. Tell them what you drink. Like for like a wine, a sweet wine, or
Cognac.
or cognac.
Yeah, I love it.
Tell them
Hennessy
that,
privilege.
and then they'll be able to. See, and they'll be able to pair a cigar with that, because when you're drinking Hennessy privilege, you don't want that to overpower your cigar.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? So, because you want to balance each other out.
Yes, sir.
So, okay, and then the last thing, we'll get off it real quick. So there's like 3 different. There are more than 3, but there are primary 3 cuts, right? One cut is a V cut, which gives it like a little V cut on the top of the cap there. You can also, like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Or you can do a punch, which gives it just a little bit of circle right there. You can do what they call a straight cut. And some people cut way too much of their cigar off on a straight cut. You just want to barely cut that cap off on a straight cut.
Okay.
It's just all personal preference. I mean, some people say they might get a better draw this way or that way, but it's like everything else, man. A lot of it's personal preference.
It almost looks like there's a line.
And it is, and that's what's called a cap.
Okay.
That's the cap.
Okay.
So once they roll the cigar, they have to put that cap on so it doesn't unravel.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got
It's
you.
like the finishing touch on the
Man,
cigar.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Anytime. You got any questions, just call. Right?
Okay. Okay. Y'all go for a V cut. Why?
Yeah. I just like the V cut because of its look.
Okay.
That's all.
so you put this in here like this.
What side you on? Use the other side. Turn it over.
Like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nope, I'm sorry. I
You're
took it
right,
the wrong
yeah,
way.
you're
He's
right.
right. So yeah, that's the V-cut side. So when you stick it in there, just go all the way, and it'll stop the cigar, so where you can't go
Okay.
too
And
far.
then I hold
Yep.
it over here.
Then hold it over there and pull it down. You're good to go. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
That's it.
And
Oh,
you
it's what was taken stays in there?
we'll dump it in there. You
Okay,
got it.
okay,
Yeah,
okay,
we'll just say
okay.
you good.
Okay.
And then the next, some people want to take a couple cold draws on it just to see what the cigar is before you apply any heat to it.
Mm.
You know, it's like you taking your lady out on a date before you decide that you want her to be your lady, or before you decide you want her to be your wife. Because you might not like it. You might say, oh, nah, this ain't the one. Because you could tell when a cigar is going to be too tight.
Yeah.
If when you taste it just don't fit your palate. Oh, no, that ain't the one for me. I don't want that one. We're going to get you another one.
Okay.
You know? It's
Okay.
all good. And then once you decide that you do want to like this cigar, you do want to be in a relationship with this cigar, you just want to light the flip. Some people put the torch way up on here. That's too far. You know, you just barely want to be hitting it because you don't want to burn it up.
Okay.
And then once you do that, rotate it a little bit. Take a couple puffs and rotate it. Then I like to blow it to make sure that it's all amber down there. If it's not, I hit it a little more. Once you get all that smoke, you know it's ready. And I blow out on the cigar because some fuel, they leave like a slight taste,
A residue.
a little residue that can affect the
Okay.
smoking experience.
Mm.
So when I first light my cigar, unless I'm using like a cedar stick or a match or something,
Mhm.
if I'm using butane, I always blow out on it. And again, that's just personal preference. I mean, I've been smoking for almost 10 years now, so it doesn't mean that that doesn't qualify you as an aficionado or anything. Some things with the cigar you're going to learn is just your personal preference, and it's okay if you pay for that cigar, so you do what you want to do with it.
Don't inhale it.
Right, it's kind of like, if you can think like about mouthwash, how you're going to roll that smoke around inside your mouth and then blow it out. Some people
Almost
might
like
even
tasting
retro
wine.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely,
There you go.
absolutely.
Because a lot of things you're saying remind me of wine, my wine tasting class.
Yeah, yeah.
That being said, the cigars have been lit. The rounds have been played. I haven't played today. Have you played today?
Not yet.
Yeah. Reed, you played
I have
today?
not played, only in my mind.
Only in my mind. I know that's right. Well, we're here once again back at the 19th hole, and I am super excited today. I mean, I'm back like nervous, like it's the first show again. I don't know why. My name is Warren Hardy, your host. Always my partner in crime, Jay Reed, the golfer bro himself. Today, we have a very, very special guest, a man from my own alma mater, same as Reed, Prairie A&M University. The golf coach, the man himself.
Hats off.
Hats off.
Hats off.
3-time. I'm sorry, I got to put a little bit more respect on
Please,
that.
please, please.
3-time SWAC champ, NCAA divisional appearance, Mr. Kevin Jennings. Man, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Man,
gentlemen,
that's-
for having me here.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you so
for
much,
having me.
man.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
having
Thank
me.
you for joining us. This is truly an opportunity. When we talk about our golf, our love for the game, we're just average Joes, but we love the game. Reed's pretty good. I'm out there for looks. We keep it real. We keep it real.
Yes, I was going to say, you might say I'm pretty. I don't know about that good part. That's depending on what day of the week it is.
There you go. There you go. You go. But man, it's good to see our alma mater, HBCU, doing the things that you're doing, winning, bringing attention to the program. We're going to get into all of that, man. But just, introduce yourself for the folks. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Absolutely. Thank you, gentlemen. Again, my name is Kevin Jennings. I just completed my 5th year at Prairie A&M University. Born in Los Angeles, grew up in Michigan. Prior to coming to Prairie View, I spent a semester UAPB, 5 years at Talladega College. Prior to that, I was at Christian Brothers University in Memphis, Tennessee. Prior to that, Mississippi Valley State. Been teaching for over 25 years. Have studied under Rob Aikens, top 50 instructor in the United States, #1 in the state of Tennessee for 3 years. Studied under Jeff Jones. Ran his golf academies. He has been featured on the Golf Channel 6 times. So he's a mentor of mine. I keep him on speed dial in case I need some things or trying to learn a few things. Still have a clientele of mine that I teach in Memphis, Tennessee when my wife and I go back home. And currently working towards building clientele here in Houston. That's a passion of mine, continuing to grow the game, and because I have a passion for it. So, been teaching for a long time. Played in college myself. Taught on the West Coast, teaching at a facility. Had clients that turned into sponsors. So I stopped my job, played professionally for a while. So I have a lot of understanding of what it takes to move in that direction or get where we're trying to go. Grew up in Michigan. Didn't know it at the time, but the golf course I grew up on was one of the top in North America, top 50 in North America at that time. On that golf course, the Robert Trent Jones facility, they held a tournament, which at the time was the 3rd largest amateur tournament in the world and most prestigious in the world. The only ones that were more prestigious are the British Am and the US Am. It was an amateur tournament called the Western Amateur. People that won it are people like Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, Curtis Strange, participants. Scott Verplank has won it. Anybody you can think of has won or participated in one of the top amateur tournaments in the country. So growing up watching those guys, not understanding the path that I would have later, seeing some of the top, those guys are some of the top players on the tour, top amateurs in the world at that time, and have won, I would be hundreds of millions of dollars on the PGA Tour now. So growing up watching those guys, I was able to see a lot of things, learn a lot of things, but that learning is continuing because it's ever evolving. So it's kind of it in a nutshell, kind of a background or idea.
In a nutshell, man, that's
touching it a little bit.
That's an impressive resume.
That's impressive, man. So I mean, so you often hear guys, they say, I saw the game young. I mean, let's start back then. What drew you to the game? What said that, man, I want my life to be this? Because that's essentially, your resume is just.
Well, I think it was kind of like this. This is, like I said, I grew up in Michigan, born in LA, but grew up in Michigan. So I only got to play about 2 days out the year. but my parent. I kind of started at the beginning, and this is some pretty interesting stuff here. Growing up, my mother. This place I grew up was actually the home for a company a lot of people have heard of called Whirlpool. Whirlpool's kind of taken over the appliance. They bought KitchenAid, all these. But we used to live right across the street from there. And that's their global base is in this little town that I grew up in. Now, because Whirlpool was very, very successful, even back in this, a lot of people don't realize 60s, 70s, 80s, they had a lot of influence in the state of Michigan. That golf course I was talking about, they were instrumental in building that golf course. And because of that, their influence, when we moved there when I was a toddler, my mother figured out that, they were a major player. She likes to cook. She knows what Whirlpool is. So she went in, asked for a job, and she was very kind of like, I see where I get some of this from, but she was very adamant about speaking to someone in charge. And she spoke to someone in charge, happens to be a VP of the company at the time, ended up becoming president. But he was very impressed with my mother, and he told her, he said, "Do you have children?" She says, "Yes." She says, "Do this for me. When they get of age, when they get in junior high, take them here and tell them I sent you for them to get a job at this golf course." And we knew nothing about golf, so my mother she ended up getting a job at Whirlpool a few years later. This gentleman ascends to become president. She, stays there at the company for a number of years, does not forget what he told her. My older brother, he goes before me, he's 4 or 5 years older than me. He goes first Now we're growing up. We're all athletes. We're playing everything growing up. My mother got us, and I played soccer from second, third grade. I really believe that's what made my legs strong to hit the ball. Growing up playing that, and basketball, running track, all these different things. But my brother went out there. He starts working, and my brothers, I learned a lot from him. He's one of the best people on the planet. And my older brother, everybody loves him. And sure enough, everybody took a liking to him out here. These are people that are running things. I'll just put it like that. So, long story short, they give him a set of clubs. We lived across the street from Whirlpool. Whirlpool, we own 10 acres of open land. Just open land that you can see as, and my brother gets these golf clubs as a gift. One day, I'm bored during the summer, and I'm just looking around the house for stuff to do, and I see his golf clubs, and I'm an athlete. I'm like, I'm gonna try this. I get his brand new golf balls like I just gave you guys. Plotting, I'm hitting them in the thickets all over the place. Y'all know how that goes. And a few days pass. My brother's like, okay, I'm gonna go golfing. He's running around getting his golf clubs, getting his stuff together. He's like, what happened to all my balls? And then he starts yelling, looking for me. I'm running out the house. My mother's like, okay, I gotta get you your own golf club. That's kind of how I got into the game. As usual. But we played other sports growing up, so it kind of made it easy. That's the competitive side where that came from. After playing for a little while, it was only natural for me to want to start being competitive. And after just a few years, I began noticing a lot of progress. And my parents had us in private schools. I was the only fly in the buttermilk in 9th grade. That school didn't have a golf team. I had just, like I said, I'm in Michigan. I'm playing 2 days out of the year, and I've been playing like 3 years, and I was experiencing some progress. I had to convince my parents. They had us in private school since I was a kid, to let me go to this other school that was the flip opposite. Yeah. We made a deal. I had to stay on honor roll, and get a scholarship, and I did that. I got partial academic, partial golf. Ended up going to college and playing. So, that's kind of how.
Where was that?
I ended up, my freshman year, I went to Jackson State.
Okay.
Recruited by Eddie Payton, one of the most prolific winning coaches in SWAC golf. I played for him my freshman year. Needless to say, it didn't work out, so I ended up doing some other things. Ended up going to Golf Academy of America, being the first African American to graduate with playing and teaching credentials after that. Then ended up going back to college at St. Augustine's College. But I can honestly look at you guys and honestly say I went back at that point because my game ascended to a totally different place after going to the academy and learning a lot of different things.
Right.
So I actually went to school to play golf, not to get an education, to be honest with you. And I can see that now instead of, But long story short, it was all a good thing because I learned a lot of valuable things at that time.
How long did you stay at St. Augustine?
I was there for about 2 years, 2.5 years. Yeah. And like I said, that was, in fact, another legendary coach, Lawrence Coleman. I'm getting chill bumps as I say this. He just passed away last week. That was my coach, Peach. I'm almost getting teary-eyed saying that, but he just passed away this past week. He was a legendary coach from
Rest in peace, folks.
Yeah, rest in power, no doubt. So anyway, but went there and then went out to California, started teaching, got into teaching and got very successful with that. Came across, got a chance to teach. I don't know if you guys ever, some celebrities, taught Frank Robinson, who's also no longer with us. Frank Robinson, I'm getting chill bumps thinking about Frank. Frank was something else, man. Activist, political activist. If he had been alive now with this BLM, he would be. He was the first manager in America, African American manager in the American League. Anyway, this guy, man, I started teaching when he was 70 and was still so strong. It was unbelievable. But I taught him to play from scratch. That was a wonderful relationship. So, I've been very blessed in a lot of different ways to be around, meet people that I normally wouldn't meet because of this game.
Yeah.
I could tell you stories people wouldn't believe. I don't talk about people I've been around, people I know, because most people wouldn't believe it. But a lot of people, the things that I've been doing on my own accord. Like I said, the place I grew up, I know a lot of people. I just don't talk about the people that I know. And they have been slowly finding out what I'm doing. And that's why things are like, well, we'll talk about get into some other things shortly. Some other questions.
Yeah.
But
before we do,
yes, sir.
and I hate to stop the story.
I know,
But,
man.
no, we on to the next one.
This is where I shifted to read.
I know. I done went told you Blake on this.
So we
I'm
can
all-
talk about what
yeah.
we're
So this is
talking.
the Drew Estate sun-grown cigars, all Nicaraguan. Well, Nicaraguan filler, Nicaraguan binder, and it has a Ecuadorian Sumatra sun-grown wrapper. To me, it's a good breakfast midday cigar. I'm picking up a little bit of sweetness and whatnot, but I don't know. We'll see how it progresses.
Yeah,
So I think this is my first time smoking this. I don't think I've ever smoked this before.
I think I've had the sun grown once. Matter of fact, I think I bought it when we were in San Antonio.
Okay.
When we went to Ken's spot.
Yeah. This would be a good cigar on the course. I
It
can see
would.
myself smoking this on the go.
It is. It's light. It's not too bold.
Right.
It's actually good in the morning time
Yeah,
with a cup
yeah.
of coffee too.
Yeah, man, because I smoked a Neanderthal when I played golf with some of our members. We played golf over here at Sienna Plantation.
No bueno. No
What day
bueno.
was that?
He was feeling it. He was
What's the
feeling
day? Monday. I think we played Saturday. Oh, man, let me tell you something. I was going to go take a nap.
That's a heavy cigar.
Yeah, it's a
Really?
heavy cigar.
You call it Neanderthal?
It's called Neanderthal.
I could imagine it might
Yeah,
be.
yeah, and it's full body and full strength. So I don't recommend that for a golf course.
Wow.
So I wanna fast forward
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
clock just a
Yes,
little
sir.
bit.
Yes, sir. Please do.
So you've been at PV for 5 years now,
Yes, sir.
and it's almost like, man, you came in, man, with just like a bull in the china shop mentality. I want to win, and I want to win now. I mean, it may not have been your, the mission or the mindset, but it's like, I mean, you're 3 championships in, conference champs in, within 5 years. So I want to talk about how that first one felt.
Oh man, the first thing that comes to mind is honestly blessed. Secondly, I would think the thing that comes to mind is humbled. And after that, you start looking at the guys and you get elation and you get, because describing what you just described, you say bull in a china shop. I am a tourist. That's why I chuckle. And that's funny to me because, my kids, they tease me. They're like, oh, coach. When we were in Florida at the PGA Works, I had a birthday and they were like, oh, coach, you're a tourist. That explains a lot. So, but anyway,
Because it's
yeah.
it's almost been 50 years.
Yeah. Well,
Since
39 when we won the first.
39.
Yes, sir.
You won the first one.
And the back-to-back and the 3 in a row, it had been almost 48 or 49 years since that had been done. Yes.
That's impressive.
So there's some history there.
Oh yes, we're not doing anything. We're just trying to build on the history that was laid, the groundwork that was laid, and continue to elevate and continue on a winning and positive trajectory for the kids and for the program.
3 and 5 years. That's one word. That's like almost like dynasty. I mean, when you look at that.
Yeah.
But now, when you and I had a chance to talk on the phone prior to this, and with the SWAC expanding to accept FAMU, Florida A&M University, shout out to the Rattlers. Bethune-Cookman is
You are
also
correct, sir.
coming in.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to Bethune. They got some pretty good golf programs too.
Very good.
Like FAM just came off winning the MEAC.
Right.
So what does that do in terms of building up the SWAC in terms of the golf competition, coming from your perspective?
In my opinion, with Coach Rice over there building up FAMU's program, he and I actually come from the same tree. He and I were both from Peach, the gentleman I was just talking about.
Oh wow!
I've been knowing him for.
Jackson.
We were at St. Augustine.
St. Augustine.
Yes, sir, in North Carolina.
Okay.
But Coach Rice, he's building a very solid program, as you stated. They also won the MEAC this year, and they competed in regionals as we did. They competed in the Florida regional. So we had two HBCUs competing in Division I NCAA regionals this year. So as you stated, that speaks to the SWAC now being a power conference as it pertains to golf in the HBCU world. Now, having said that, that adds to the strength and interesting segue there. You know, if we want to continue to move in the direction that we want to move, you know, it's almost like an arms race. Right now, I was listening to XM, and, you know, our president is meeting with another large president, you know, on this planet. And, you know, one of the hot topics there is going to be security for your future.
Absolutely.
Meaning, typically, that means in our lifetime, arms race. Similar to that, there's an arms race, you know, involved. I got to be honest, you know, the support of the community, the support of the alums is something that's going to be much needed for us to continue moving in the direction that we want to move. So, you know, I'm looking forward to galvanizing that and uniting that and moving in that direction.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, man. That's simply amazing, and I continue success. I mean, because when y'all look good, I look good. Because like I say, that's my school.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's my school. Early on this year, I wanted to ask you this question. I saw an interview with you, Cameron Champ, PGA,
Yes, sir.
young guy, up and coming. He donated the $40,000 to Prairie. In the interview, you stated that that money would be helping us fulfill the scholarship allotment for golf scholarships.
Yes, sir.
And that number was like 6.5. Was that correct?
We have 4.5 for men in NCAA Division I.
4.5 for men.
And 6 for women, full scholarships. Those are the maximum allowable scholarships. Now in golf, we can do things that some other sports can't, and that I can dissect those scholarships. So like if I only wanted to have 6 players, 6 women, there's 6 scholarships, I can award them all scholarships. Let's say I want to have 12 players on my team and give them all 50%. I can do that as well.
So you had that.
Yes, sir.
So 4.5, you just chop that up.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so right now, is there a maximum number of men and women that can be on the team? Is there? I mean,
Not really. You find some schools, man, they'll have 15 or 20 kids. Believe it or not, you're only traveling with 5 typically. I'm sorry. Yeah, that have as many as that. Me, I'm thinking our sweet spot to me is kind of like 8 to 12, and that's for various reasons. Number one, if you have some injuries or something, you know, if we're being who we should be, as you guys know, your alma mater is a wonderful academic school.
Right.
You know, we're recruiting kids that are chemical engineering majors, computer science, architecture. So if these kids that I'm recruiting are truly being who I brought them here to be, academically and athletically, they're going to be a star academically as well. So they should be asked to represent their major or their discipline, meaning, hey, coach, we got a seminar in DC this weekend. They asked me to go speak and give a presentation. They're not going to be with me forever.
right.
True.
They're coming here to prepare for the rest of their life. Me helping them prepare for the rest of their life is having a team big enough or solid enough to where you can go do that and the team doesn't miss a beat. We can still go and do and be competitive. So if you have a team of that size, you can do things. That's an example of, and or if you're red-shirting kids and developing the talent for the future.
Man, I got so many questions right now.
That's all right. We got more than one. We got more than one show. We can do
Oh yeah, we can definitely come back for another show.
Yeah, no doubt.
So you said that you all, when we talked, you were in the recruiting process.
Oh yeah. When I leave here, I'm heading out.
So what does that look like? Recruiting golfers, or not just recruiting golfers, but recruiting golfers for Prairie View A&M.
Well, That's interesting, and I like the way you phrased that.
Absolutely.
I had a over here from Mr. Reed, so I'm interested what that means. But yeah, so
Well, because you know, when people think about recruiting, they think about the big schools. You know, and you think about the I'm gonna say the non-blacks, right? So when I think about somebody recruiting for a HBCU and a successful HBCU, when you said that, I'm thinking like, okay, well, you know, there's we're not recruiting the black man, we're not recruiting the black men, we're recruiting those golfers that we know at like some of our schools out here from the predominantly white schools that are really good golfers. You know, that's what came to my mind. That's why I said, and so I was waiting to see if you were gonna throw that in, recruiting for Prairie A&M University, right? Recruiting African American players. So,
Yeah.
and see, and I want to make sure that I'm going to jump around a little bit and make sure I hit these points, all points, and make sure we cover this. But okay, it looks different in different places and in different ways. It's kind of hard to explain, you know, because if you look at our roster, you look at where everyone's from. We got kids from the West Coast. We got kids from Chicago. We got kids from Atlanta. We got kids from Texas. And I'm recruiting more kids from all over the place right now at this very moment. But as far as to kind of answer the question, my goal, and this may be jumping ahead on some of the other things we want to talk about, but my goal from the time I stepped foot here, you say a bull in a china shop, has always been to be competitive with people I got no business being competitive with. That's always been my goal.
Yep.
So now, let's just say hypothetically, we look at where we are. We take a pen and draw a radius of, let's say, 500 miles from where we are and draw it around in a circle. Any school within that five, now the schools that are within that are some of the top programs in this country. Texas A&M, University of Texas, University of Houston, LSU, SMU, Oklahoma State, which all these are some of the top programs. TCU. All of these are top programs. Sam Houston qualified for nationals this year.
How about it?
So, look, quiet school, don't nobody think about. So, my goal has always been to be competitive. So, if I find somebody who's green with orange polka dots, who can play and wants to come to Prairie View, I will recruit. Right now, we have Caucasians. It looks like I'm continuing to try to make my roster look like the world, to be honest with you.
Oh, I love it.
That's one of my goals, I'm going to be honest. And I haven't found all of the components that I think would fit right, but we have Indian, Latino, African American. We used to have an Argentinian on the team. We have a kid whose roots are in Australia. His dad grew up with Aborigines. So, you know, we have that's my goal. And you talk about, I'm looking for the best players.
Right.
Now, if they happen to be African American, that makes it even better, to be honest. However, because of the history of our school and our program. However, like always, from literally the beginning of time, I don't want to speak out too much for my ancestors or for my people, but we have generally been all inclusive.
Right, true.
Not exclusive.
Right.
So that's the mindset I have. If you take a good look at what we got a damn good product. You're going to get a quality education. These people around here going to care about you. I'm going to care about you. We got a damn good product. So, you know, that's up to them. And apparently, you know, like I said, we were able to go out. You talk about recruiting. After my first year, I got rid of 7 kids. I didn't have a team during this time. After my first year, I didn't even have a team. I had 2 players. So I went out over the summer and found a team, 8 guys, average GPA 3.4. That team in 2017, when the NCAA Golf Stat came out with their first ranking of recruiting classes, guess who was ranked in the top 25 with a no-name coach, a bunch of under-recruited, overlooked, and not looked at kids with Texas A&M, UCLA, Arizona State, Florida, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Michigan.
I like to take a guess.
Now, we fell out of the top 25, but it was an indication part of the talent that we had. Long story short, we ended up winning our first conference championship in the spring. Later that year, we received an award, a national award, from the same Golf Stat NCAA Golf Coaches Association for the biggest drop of any Division I program in the country of stroke average from my first year to my second year. Any school you can think of, A&M, Michigan, Wisconsin, Indiana, Ohio State, any Division I school you can, North Carolina, Seton Hall, any Division I program in the country, we had the biggest drop in stroke average. I think it was close to 20 strokes.
Wow.
So we received that. Then we ended up winning our conference again for the second time. Now, we received that award in December. From mid-February to the end of March, that was in 2018. 2019, we rose from mid-February to the end of March. We rose 97 spots in Division I ranking. I'm getting chill bumps because nobody in the country is doing that. We rose 97 spots. Then we ended up a few weeks later winning our second conference title, going to NCAA Division I regionals for the second time in school history. 2020, there was no contest. But this past year, we won our third. We also won PGA Works Championship for the first time in school history on TPC Sawgrass. Now, both of those events, gentlemen,
And Sawgrass.
going into the last round, we were one stroke down. We never led in neither one of those tournaments till the tournament was over.
Man.
We never led in either one of those tournaments till the tournament was over. We were one stroke down going into the last round on the last day for both events. Jordan chips in on 16 at Sawgrass on the par 5 for Eagle. The wind you guys was whipping, it was at least 20 to 25, gusting to 30 to 35 almost. We are on 17. That man hit the ball, Ray Charles range.
It's going to be a Netflix documentary.
Well, our goal, and my goal, has always been to get a 30 for 30 made for about us.
30 for 30.
I mean,
y'all heard it here.
Yeah.
We were the first ones to have it.
I'm trying to forecast and give you a little vision, but I might be blind. But anyway, that's the goal, you guys. If we do what we're doing and elevate what we're doing, I just think we scratch the surface with community assistance and help, and our alums really coming together. I think, there's a lot more we can get, to be honest with you.
Man, sky's the limit from what I'm hearing.
But the limit ain't the sky.
The limit ain't the sky. The stars, the moon, the outer atmosphere, I don't know, but it's up there somewhere.
It's up there. Can't even see it, but you know it's there.
Man, I don't even know I'm having a hard time getting to the next topic. I got chills because it's that story.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get back to the stick. I mean, I'm just about midway through.
Yeah, what do you think about the cigars? It's not beating up too bad.
You've been talking a lot, so I mean, I understand.
Yeah. I mean, but still, I've been able to, get a little bit of it, and it's exactly what you guys described. It's very mild. It's a very easy cigar to handle in the morning. Very smooth, which is perfectly what I like.
Yeah.
It's nothing's really heavy coming from it.
Right.
Everything kind of blends together like a good meal.
Yeah.
So, it's
like
very
that.
enjoyable.
I like that. Blends together like a good meal.
I'm gonna use that one.
Yeah, I know, right?
So we talked about what he talks about to recruit. I want to ask you some questions. I mean,
Yes, sir.
like, golf is essentially life, business, everything for you at this juncture. You ever get out, personally for fun, for yourself, for friends, family?
At this time, no. I've been really, I moving here to Houston. I love being here. I haven't really sampled the city the way I want to because you can see my proof has been in my work and what I've been doing. I've been investing. I have 2 teams. By the way, while the men were finishing the last 3 years, the women finished the highest they've ever finished, third, and second in the program's history, by the way. And that award that we got for the biggest stroke average drop, we're gonna get that with the women too. Watch. But anyway, Yeah, it's very humbling um, to be uh, to be here and to see and to have the things that have happened as quickly as they've happened. I'll just
So when was the last time you played? You played, just
I,
out there, just
I
going
played
for what you know.
I played probably, let me see, was that before or after? I played 8 holes and the rain opened up and I was 1 over par and I hadn't played. I probably played like 10 times this year, 10 or 12. I don't get to play that much because when I'm playing with the kids, it's not like I'm playing to me. It's I'm more focused on what they're doing and picking apart what they're doing. As far as my own game, you know, one of the deals I made when I was first hired here, but I've had, you know, there are different ADs now, but when I was first hired, one of the conditions of, or a couple of the conditions of my employment was that I would be able to continue to play professionally and teach golf. Those are things that I enjoy doing. Now, at this moment, like I said, I'm not playing. They're a small, like, I've recently begun my pursuit of my Class A, which is like it's a credential that's to run a golf course or something like that, but they have what's known as a college coaches division. And it's a credential that's recognized on every continent on the planet. So it's something that I'm doing to continue to add value to what I'm doing and what we're doing in Prairie View and what we're doing within our conference. So that's something, and within that, I'll have the opportunity to play some lower level professional events that, you know, I just enjoy the competition. So I don't get out as often as I used to or as I like, but in order to get there, I'm going to have to work on my game. You know, so that's going to take a process of, like, if I wanted to play this fall, the soonest I think I would be able to play is maybe mid to late fall in a professional event, just to see where it is, and then looking at next spring, you know, because of what the things that the comfort level that I would want to be with my game. And that's always been a goal of mine, to kind of get out there and do that and keep my game sharp, because I think it's important that if I can, if you're having a challenge with your game and you can't quite comprehend what I'm saying, if I can illustrate it to you or show you or find a different way for you to, you know, break that barrier and get through as far as what you're trying to get, I think it's very beneficial. So, you know, keeping your game sharp is beneficial because you're able to show the kids, number one, this is how you do it. Number two, this is what I'm talking about. Number three, listen.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
But you said last time you played, you were through 8 and just 1 over?
Yeah, and the rain opened up on me. Yeah, first hole I got it up and down. I hadn't played in weeks, man, because I've been traveling every week this semester, literally, since the middle of February. So I wasn't able to play much, and then with the rhythm of the week, you know, the way things go, you know, I wasn't able to play much at all. I'm just more so focused on getting the team prepared, thinking about the venue that we're going to, and even the weather conditions or where we're going to be playing in that part of the country, whatever. You know, thinking about different things to figure out how do we need to prepare for this next event. So, you know, my game, like I said, I knew coming in order to get where I wanted to be, it wasn't going to be a priority. But, you know, in recruiting the proper young ladies and young men, like we were talking earlier, now I'm getting to a point where I have the type of kids that I need to run my program the way I want to. So now I don't have to, quote unquote, hold their hand for everything.
Right.
You know, because my goal is to recruit mature young men and young ladies so that we can turn out positive, productive people.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
with that, you know, that's a very important part. So I'm getting to the point where I can probably play a little more.
Yeah.
Man, we're like, I hate to even say right on time. I know you're a busy man, and I thank you, man. I got to ask this one last question.
Sure.
And it goes back to the recruiting phase.
Yes, sir.
But not really recruiting phase, but just coaching a college team.
Yes, sir.
So the kids that we're talking about, the young men and young women, I don't want to call them kids, sorry, the young men and young women that you're coaching, you're mentoring, you're helping them develop. I mean, they can play.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
you're not going to get someone that you're having to show the game too. For the most part, they can play. Right? You're tweaking things about their game here and there. Okay, that's where I'm going. You're focusing and training the mind more so for the pressure, or just how to evaluate the course, how to attack the course management. Playing in that tensed environment. Speak to that more so.
Well, again, off camera, we were joking around before we started, and we were talking about one of my thing that I put on the back of our shirts, and it's something that I preach to them is trust the process. Now, in saying that, one of the things we liken that to academics. Okay, everybody literally has had a class where they did very well in. We all know that to do well in that class, you had to do some things. But most of all, prior to those tests or quiz and or handing in that homework assignment, you had to prepare. And when you were prepared, you were very confident, not cocky. You were relaxed. You, for lack of better terminology, you were able to breathe well. You were coherent, and you were relatively probably humble. Now, on the flip side, we've all probably had one or two classes that we didn't do so well in. Now, what did you do to not get that grade? You weren't prepared. So one of the biggest things, similar to what I was just speaking to, is I try to look at how can we prepare, because when you prepare the best, or when you prepare well, it seems that you can mitigate a lot of circumstances that may come your way, so to speak. And if you feel and know that you're prepared, then that will allow you to be confident amidst, say like you were saying, we have a strategy on how we want to play the course. You have strategy, but within strategy, you have tactics. Tactics are something that you employ when strategy goes awry. So, you got to understand that, I try to teach them, when you're in jail, it's very difficult to open a business. So you can't be aggressive. So if you put yourself in the trees or in trouble, get out. Then you go about your business. Once you get out, now you can go and attack. But until then, if you get in trouble, get out. And then we go about, humility about what you're doing. So a lot of it is, I try to recruit fundamentally sound players. Every now and then, if I see something that I think I can handle and tweak quick, I still may go outside of that. But I'm going to be honest with you, the majority of the kids I know, I'm not going to get that top tier kid. And I kind of spoke to it, we'll talk about it another time, but, red shirting, I knew would be an important part of what I'm doing. Meaning developing the player, because I have the background to do it.
Right.
And not many coaches who look like me or don't look like me around the country really have the ability or understanding, and I'm seeking to always improve that. So, getting the right types of kids who are see, first I go after, if I can find a kid that has high GPA, we talk about recruiting and tying all this in, I'm looking for a kid, I see, next thing I'm going to want to know, two things, GPA and how does he treat people. So after that, you look at a kid who has a high GPA, has some fundamentals, treats people good, and is a hard worker. In my past, I've been pretty successful with those type of kids. So if I get the right kid, I know we're going to be all right. So, I'm going after kids who I think, in other words, are coachable. Just as you said, we do some tweaking. We talk about the mental side. I'm a little different. You guys probably picked that up. I'm very different as a coach. And I implore or look at things from different angles or different perspectives in order to teach them things or to drive the point home so that they understand what we're trying to do. And again, I think that, I'm a little different, but I think it's for a reason.
Right. So I've dropped 5 strokes off my game already just sitting there listening.
Oh, come on, man.
I'm telling you, man, that when you just said when you go in the trees
Get out.
or you're in some trouble,
Yeah.
you in jail, you got to get out of jail. I was like, it just sounds so. It's so simple when you say it like that. It's
Like
like
me,
okay,
I'm the
yeah.
guy.
Yeah,
Instead of taking the easy way out of jail,
right.
trying to cut through the trees
Yeah,
and do that.
we all do. We all do. We trying to hit that impressive shot.
But check this
Yeah.
out. What you guys are saying. This kind of segues something we spoke about off camera, which is the tip of the week.
Yep.
Now, also, I'm gonna throw something, I'm gonna sprinkle a little something and make it taste a little better. Check this out. In relation to what you guys are talking about, okay, in order to score well, we're talking about being good golfers. Golfers love to score well, and,
Of course, yeah.
collegiately, that's what you have to do. Another thing that I teach the kids is that in order to learn how to, what you spoke of a second ago, you hit it in the trees off the tee box on a par 4, you trying to punch out. Why? Because you think you're going to make birdie? So now, you trying to make birdie, but what you got to understand, and this is you got to reverse engineer it, so to speak. Go to the other end of the spectrum. You ain't going to learn how to make triple bogeys until you know how to make quadruple bogeys. This sounds crazy. You ain't going to know how to make double bogeys till you know how to make triple bogeys. You ain't going to know how to make bogeys till you know how to make double bogeys. You ain't going to learn how to make pars until you learn how to make bogeys. You ain't going to learn how to make birdies until you learn how to make pars. You ain't going to learn how to make eagles until you learn how to make birdies. You ain't going to learn how to make a double eagle until you know how to make an eagle. It sounds weird, but that's kind of a different version of what I just said about punching out. And again, that kind of segues into our tip of the week.
Yeah, I don't want to do nothing else today. Nothing else. No spoilers. No nothing. Reed, do you have anything?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm just soaking. I'm a sponge. I'm soaking.
I'm soaking everything up right now. Man, I hate we're out of time, but we're out of time. Thank you,
Thank you, Jennings.
Mr. Jennings, Coach Jennings. Thank you for coming on, giving us the opportunity to have you on the show. Man, this was great. To everyone out there, more to come from myself, from the golfer bro himself, and this will not be the last time you seeing Coach Jennings. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Coach. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Coach.
My
And,
pleasure. Thank you, Jennings.
Y'all hit them straight.
You could beat me to the 19th hole, the 19th hole. I'm at the 19th hole, fellowshipping with a few folks. My game was on, so I won by a few strokes. Cognac and a few totes. We gon' talk about our views and let the news post. Whether a hole in one or a triple bogey. Sit down at the round table, get to know me. Black excellence, living holy. Golf carts get driven slowly while we picking stogies. We at the clubhouse for another episode. The shoes I wear when I play, they are retros. I got reach out in Pebble Beach. Fine cigars and some leather seats, and you can let us be. You can meet me at the 19th hole, or you can beat me there. Long as you know you gon' see me there. Golf podcast for us. You can zoom in. You know where we'll be. Won't you tune in? Meet me, you can beat me to the 19th hole. The 19th hole. You can beat me, or you can beat me to the 19th hole. The 19th hole.